We're at Avram, Moshe, we're on page 166, where the chapter Vav of the Maimer. Okay, so now in the beginning of this Maimer, the Maimer began with the Mishnah in Psachim. The night of the 14th, next Thursday night, Klal Yisrael will search for chametz. And the Mokim Sheimach Disam Bechametz in Tzorach B'dika, place that you don't bring your chametz, you don't have to search. And the Rebbe has been speaking about this concept, although very much in the beginning of the Maimer. Now he comes back to it as is the style in Chabad Chasidus, that at the end, towards the end of the Maimer, it goes back to the beginning, the opening ideas. So that's what we're doing now. Let's go. וזהו, where lArba aser beit chametz leira nei chametz mokim sheimachtis in tzorach b'dika. Sheyesh mokim shehu iskashlus atzmi d'neshama melikus ba'alikus shu nakudas halev. There is a place in every yid's neshama that's essentially bound with Hashem. And we call this the nakudas halev, the quintessential aspect of the heart. She'ein machdisem by chametz. Over there, you never bring chametz into it. Over mela, and therefore, ein tzorach b'dika. You don't have to search there. We explained earlier in the Maimer Yodesin, what is the idea of tzorach b'dika? You have to get rid of you have to find the rough and tough and bad character and get rid of it. So now when it comes to a place where you don't bring a chametz, you don't have to. What does that mean? In the essence of the yid, of every yid, in their essence, you don't need any bedika. Every yid is pure and holy in their essence. Every yid. Avol, shar madreigos, anything else outside of the essence, all other levels, tzrichem bedika, they do need bedika. Leda, and what do you have to do to know? Ma'u chametz beruchnius. What is the spiritual chametz within the character of the person? V'hachometz isurei b'mashahu. Chametz, its isser, its prohibition is even an iota, a mashahu. The mashahu. What does that mean? The mashahu, whatever it may be. In other words, it says Yodesin bi with a base, bi mashahu. The Rebbe takes that and says di mashahu. Those not only is it a quantity issue, it's a quality issue. What's the quality issue called? Mashahu. Shegamim hu ezemitzias kala. Even if he's just a little mitziut. A little yeshus hiding, coming out from his tail, from his backside, once a year. Harihu chametz. It's chametz. There's an expression in Yiddish. Ot da liegt der Hund behalten. Over here, the dog is hidden. Avram, I teach you Yiddish in the shir too. A hund is a dog. Ot da, over here, liegt, lies, der Hund, the dog, behalten, hidden. The dog is not seen. You don't hear any barking most of the time. And you can sleep peacefully and all that. And one time during the year, the ugly head pops out, character pops out, and we see that dog within ourselves. It reminds me, there was someone, I'm not going to say, of course, the name Chas v'Sholom, who was known to be a big Talmud Chochem and a Hasidic Jew, and there was a community issue that came up, and they voted to have a certain other person be a leader of an organization, and he stormed out of the meeting in public. And this was such a, what did it show? It showed that he wasn't 100% clean of yeshus. What are you storming out? Because you weren't voted in? Do you understand? I remember, I wasn't there, I was told. Like people said, they couldn't believe that this person who was known as such a refined person in Talmud Chacham, he storms out because they didn't vote him in. That's the way it seemed. I'm telling you what the way it seemed. What I'm saying is, you could be connected and plugged in throughout the year at all times, and just one time during the year, you go off, you make a U-turn, a left turn, and you get yourself all worked up, and that's where you see that you still have chametz. Right? How do you like that, Chevra? That's what it says here. Kemoi re'uma. You know, it says in the Torah, re'uma. Right? So it's brought down in the Svarim. Re'uma is really re'uma. See what it is, how it is, who it is. Notice me. Come on, at least notice me a little bit. I won't say anything, but you make sure you remember it's me. The Re'uma. So what do we use to find this hidden chametz, this obscure chametz in our character? Says the Rebbe, you use lArba. You do it to the night of the 14th, to the light. The light of the 14th. The lArba Heim koiches hanefesh alikis. The lArba refers to the powers, the faculties of the nefesh alikis. Hamislapshim bekoiches hanefesh abamis, that invest themselves in the faculties of the animal drive. Shebechlalusa misparim yudalit. So what do we get? 7 plus 7 equals 14, right? Meshiah. There's 3 intellectual components is Chabad, and the 7 emotional components, Chagas and Nehim, both from the Nefesh Elikis perspective and the Nefesh Abamis. 7 of godly, 7 of animal. And what are they? So 7 plus 7 is 14. You need to check for chametz using the 7 faculties of the godly soul to refine the 7 faculties of the animal soul. Oir la'arba osar. V'habeirur hu b'koyach oir la'arba osar. Now, we have 7 plus 7. What does the or come in here, the light? Or? The or is the beirur. You see these words, Avram, the beirur. What does the beirur mean? That is the illumination that refines. In other words, you need to take a candle and to search on the night of the 14th. You need to go with the or, the light of God that transcends 7 and 7, and that will make your work of the 7 midos of the nefesh elikis will properly refine the 7 midos of the nefesh abamis. That's what he says. Omnam, however, zeu b'dikas hachometz levad. This is only the first stage. This is called b'dikat chometz, searching for chometz. Shehu avodah shal pitam b'das b'asog b'zbainis. This, as we said earlier, yesterday and several before, is the initial service, the logical and rational approach through comprehension and meditation. This causes the subjugation. Top of 167. And the nullification b'nefesh abamis. Yes, you subjugate and you control. But guess what? The nefesh abamis has not been eliminated. Right, Moshe? You have a desire for overeating, so the cakes you bring it into the house, or you don't stand in front of it, or you stay less out of l'chaim and a vert. Because if you get too comfy, you start sitting down and chatting all this, the food's in front of you, boom, control, right? So you control yourself, but have you eliminated the urge? No. They say about all these, the not the dieting, the operations, the bariatric operations, the sleeve and the other things that so many people have done. It doesn't change your taiva. You still have a desire to eat. You're scared you're going to vomit, so you stop eating. Or you're going to get sick, you stop eating. But as soon as you're not scared, so what do people do? They drink milkshakes. You drink milkshakes, you get the sugar, and guess what? They gain back the weight. In other words, the taiva's there. You haven't eliminated it. But Dika Chametz is only identifying it and controlling it. And by the way, that's a big avodah. It's a heavy job. But we must know that it's only bedika. Let's continue in the mimer. Avol biyur chametz, but the next stage, which is done on the day of the 14th. Here we eliminate, we burn, we destroy, we obliterate the chametz. The chametz is eradicated entirely. In which way? Transformation. Transformation, Meshiah, means there's no chance for it to come back to haunt you, because now it's kedusha. In other words, like this: person had a tray for burger. The person lied. The person became angry, and then he works on himself. The passion that he put into the burger and to the anger and to the lying, all of a sudden is used for kedusha. So there's no passion left for the tray burger, for the anger, and for the lying. There's been a change in the inherent makeup of the problem. It's a much harder avodah. That's biyur chametz. So it's interesting, Yonason, that you think of bedika and beer. Beer means you get rid of it. It's not here anymore. Why is it not here anymore? It's not here anymore because I took care of it. I got rid of it. So yes, as far as I'm concerned, I got rid of it. But is the item itself not? Has the item itself changed? Exactly, no. So he doesn't talk about this here, but other Maimarim, it's explained that even Avram, even the second avodah called ishapcha, transformation, is the way you transform it. But the issue itself, so in your world, it doesn't exist anymore because of you. But the issue itself on its own still exists. So if someone else from the outside throws it upon you, it's going to come to haunt you as well. And that's the avodah of Mashiach, by the way. That's the avodah of Mashiach. When Mashiach will come, evil will be eradicated, meaning that outside, independent of what I do, there won't be evil. Now, until Mashiach, there is bad in the world because that's the way Hashem set up the world, to give us free choice. So true, I and my avodah can accomplish this hapcha, that's for me. But that's not what it's talking about here. I just wanted to make sure that you know that. Okay, let's continue. Shazeo dafke, how do we accomplish the second harder service of biur, eradication of his? That's through it. Also the lib, as we said yesterday, the will, the ratzon of the lev. Shem sheba shal lemaila neba v'chol yivecha yikoresu. Just as regarding Hashem, we say, all of your enemies, Yikaresa, will be cut off, will be eliminated. This refers to, in Kabbalah, it refers to the level of the crown of Hashem, known as Keser. But the inner aspect, there's Atik and Arach. This is Atik, the higher level of Keser. Shuatz will say Sof, and here he refers to it as the essence of the infinite God. Shemesham hu abitul ve'avoda in the sitra acher legamri. From that perspective, there is complete nullification and destruction of the other side, completely, the evil side. Ukamayim, as it says, V'avarti be'eretz Mitzrayim. Hashem says, I passed the land of Mitzrayim. Ani, we say this in the Haggadah, Ani v'lei malach. I myself passed and took you guys out. I didn't send any shluchim, any messengers. I did it myself. Ela HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chvodoi uve'atzmai Hashem, in His very presence and Himself, His honor, He took us out. And that's why, since it was God Himself who took us out of Egypt, He completely eliminated them. They couldn't come back. Ukidu de b'makas b'chayris hoya gemar hadover. It took the slewing of the firstborn makas b'chayris to complete the job. Only then, when we had the makas b'chayris, that plague, that issue, did Hashem Himself get rid of the enemy. How does it dafke? This specifically comes. So too in Cain, who gamba voida. So too in our service towards with Hashem. That we need to eliminate, to destroy, and get rid of chametz. The libet comes from the inner aspect, of the inner will of the heart. It's a transcendental avodah. As we discussed so many times, it's whether you can ask me all the questions you want. You can disprove me, whatever. Sorry, chap, this is bad. No negotiations. But, and I'll show you how it's not. Go somewhere. Talk to the wall. Don't talk to me. Goodbye. L'mayla mitam v'das. L'mayla mitam v'das. And we don't have enough of this. We do not have enough of this. And some will say, well, this is a Pinchas attitude. This is a Kanoi attitude. There's a time for Kanois. As much as we say, who are you to be a Kanoi? There is a time for Kanois. There's no negotiating here. Call it the way it is and stop beating around the bush. That's all. Let's continue. That's why B'tikas Chometz is on the 14th. Pchinas Daled Yud, right? Arba Asar is 14. 14 is comprised of Daled is 4 and Yud is 10. The Hebrew word dai, which means enough, adequate, dai machsoiroi. You have to give the poor person the amount that he's lacking. So what's the word for? You have to fill them up and give them? Dai. Milu yachsarin. 14 represents filling up, filling up the void of the deficiency of the chasarin. This comes from the level of ishtalshalus, of the progressive chain of descent of the worlds, where the filling up, the fulfillment comes from the source. Through the revelation of intellect, which is the idea of the Exodus, who diskafya sitra achra, what we do first is we subjugate sitra achra. Then comes the second activity, the second avoidu, bir chometz, hu mebchinas yudkei. This is not coming from the lower level, Bir Chametz comes from the higher two letters of God's name. There's four letters, Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's from the Yud Kei, the first two letters. Hainu Mebchinas Pnimi Yisrael Sof Shel Amayim Meshiah Shemokal Ashtalshelus. This comes from the infinite light of Hashem that transcends Ashtalshelus. V'zeu Pchinas Rishon. Remember, we learned about that the 14th by day is also called Rishon. The B'yoyim HaRishon, the first day, who begematria Keser. The gematria is the numerical equivalent of those words is Keser, crown. V'hu Pchinas Pnimis HaKeser. This is the higher aspect, which is Yud Kei, associated with the inner aspect of Keser, the higher level. V'locheini Kori B'chamisha Osar Pchinas Yud Kei. That's why Rishon is not Yudalit. It's really Yud Kei, 15. Chazal gave the virtue of the 15th to the 14th by day. But the Yud Kei is the essence, the higher level, the inner aspect of Keser, 15. In other words, 14 is just patching a hole. The poor person doesn't have, give him more schitim, right. But he still remains a poor person. 15 is transcendence, where no longer is he anymore a poor person and poor mentality. He's been transformed. He's a redeemed new person, a new start. Umikol mokim, nevertheless, gam habir hu biyudalet. When do we experience the energy of the 15th on the 14th? She'al pi haTorah nikra rishon. That's a wonderful thought. The Torah has established, and we learned this in the beginning of the Maimer, Chazal, it's a Gemara, this isn't Chassidus, that the virtue of the first, which is Harishon, the 15th of Nisan, is the first day of the month of the Exodus, called Rishon. Chazal learned that that applies also to the 14th by day, not at night. Meaning the energy of the 15th of Yud Kei, which is Pnimius HaKeser, has been shared with the 14th by day. Why we're getting rid of Chametz? Why? Because getting rid of Chametz is the higher Avodah. That's how he connects it. Since getting rid of the Chametz, burning the Chametz, obliterating the Chametz, is through transcendence, that's why it's Yud Kei. Whereas the 14th at night, because Chametz, as great as it is, it's only a skafia. So basically, we have here the scenario like this. 14th at night is only subjugation, only a skafia. It's associated with 14, Yud Dalet, which is associated with the poor person, giving them their needs. 14 by day, the energy is not 14. Although technically it's the day of the 14th, the energy is of the next day, the 15th, which is transcendence. Pnimius HaKeser, the two first letters of God's name. And this is a very enigmatic biur explanation. It's not conventional. And it needs understanding and clarity, meaning to say that to understand that although it's like, it's like saying, Yonason, we're experiencing a bit of Mashiach now in Golos. You'll say, wait, we're in Golos. Death, dying, poverty, starvation, wars, it's Golos. What's the answer? From the perspective of Mashiach, the ultimate, where there's only good and only no more famine and no more war, you're right. But from the personal perspective, we're supposed to make our experience a Mashiach experience. And that's what the Rebbe said. And we're coming up to the Rebbe's birthday, 120th year. What did the Rebbe say? The Rebbe was a dreamer. The Rebbe wasn't a realist. The Rebbe didn't know of all the problems. Of course he did. But the Rebbe was schlepping the Mashiach experience that will be in the ultimate way where Mashiach comes into Golo's experience now. Just like it says here in the Maimer, we're schlepping the Yud-K of the 15th of Pesach into the 14th. It's the exact idea. And that can be done. And that needs to be done. So, Moshe, what does this practically mean? It sounds very, aloof. What it means practically is that we need to live Mashiach-dik. Yeah. Now, everyone knows when Mashiach comes, I'm going to really sweep up the house and prepare the carpet and really clean myself and stop with a lot of stuff because Mashiach is walking into my house. That's the way to prepare ourselves for Pesach. Chevra, any thoughts, questions? If not, we'll continue. Emretz Hashem tomorrow. Yes, Yonis.
Yeah, does that mean that if you don't do the $1 properly, the 10 won't kick in?
Listen, your question is a good one. It's like, if we don't do iskafya, can we go to isapcha? The answer is the normal way. The answer is no. But, when it comes to the neshama doesn't have any definitions. So it could be one can jump always from nothing to isapcha, but that's an exception to a rule, and I wouldn't advise it. If it happens, it happens, and it happens. It happens with a Baal Teshuvah. One day the person, there are Baalei Teshuvah that gradually they get involved, and there's a Baal Teshuvah who Yodas and you and I know from yeshiva, from Maris down to Chevra, who had no connection, and the next day they were in yeshiva, and they didn't freak out, and they didn't craze out, and they became normal, and became the biggest Talmidei Chachamim, and the biggest Shluchim, and the biggest fine people, So to go tell you that it's impossible is a lie. It's not true. But to say that it's the norm, it's not the norm. That's the way I would answer your question. So when we're going about in an organized in an organized way, because we are within the cycle of Ishtalshelus, we have to plan for Bedika, followed by beer. Chavra, see everyone tomorrow. Mitzvah Shem. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Take care.